Some picture books are going to whisper at you. They gently guide your eyes across the page like, hey, over here. Now just float across this soft, dreamy spread. And then others, they yelled, but not in a bad way, but in a bold, dramatic, look here now, please kind of way. It's like a visual fire alarm, but truly in the best sense. And none of that is an accident. Hi, I'm Nick. This is Dr. Cranky Pants Reads, and today we're talking about 4 ways that illustrators mess with your eyeballs on purpose, using contrast, gradation, alternation, and harmony to create movement, mood, and rhythm in picture books. So let's start by talking about contrast, or really the visual shout. Contrast is what happens when something on the page is dramatically different from everything around it. Color, texture, shape, size, it doesn't matter. If it stands out, it grabs your attention instantly. Let's revisit the book Plume, using the same page that we used to talk about composition. As we did in our last exercise, what you saw first was probably the bird, right? That's contrast. The bird is darker, bolder, heavier, and set against a light, almost airy background. And not just that. Look at those clean, saturated tail feathers. They pop. Now glance down. Those glowing yellow eyes in the corner? That's the cat. Chances are you probably didn't see it right away, and that's the point. The high contrast parts hit you first, and then the tension, it sneaks up. Illustrators love contrast because it's instant. It yells, this is the part that is important. It also builds drama and gives the story visual energy. So if your eyes snap to something immediately, that's contrast doing its job. When we're talking about gradation, we're talking about the slow fade. Now, let's look at the opposite of contrast, gradation. This is all about smooth transitions, colors fading into each other, texture slowly changing, and movement that feels natural and easy. We're going to return back to the Plume page again, and I want you to check out the feathers on the left. They don't all look the same, but they gradually shift in size and tone. Darker near the middle, lighter as they spread out. And it's not sudden, it's gentle, like your eyes are gliding across a page instead of being shoved. Gradation is what illustrators use when they want a scene to flow. It's soft, it's seamless, it's what makes a quiet moment actually feel quiet. So if a book feels like it's drifting across the page and you barely notice your eyes moving, that's gradation doing the work. Now, we're going to talk about alternation. Alternation is when something repeats in a visual pattern, but there's enough variation that it stays interesting. Again, Plume has a great example. The feathers. Yes, we're back to the feathers. They aren't just scattered randomly. They alternate in spacing, shape, and direction. You get rhythm without getting bored. It's like a visual beat. Illustrators use alternation to create flow that feels alive, not robotic. You've probably seen it in books where a character moves across the page doing the same thing in slightly different ways. Running, jumping, leaping, falling. Same motion, new twist. Alternation keeps your brain engaged because it's familiar and surprising. And finally, harmony. Harmony is when the whole page feels like it belongs together. Nothing sticks out too much, nothing feels off. It's not boring, it's balanced. And in Plume, even with all the contrast and movement, the image still works as a whole. The colors are all in the same cool, muted family. The line work is consistent. There's visual unity, even when there's tension in the story. Harmony doesn't scream for attention, but you'd definitely notice it if it wasn't there. If a page feels cohesive, if the vibes, they're vibing, that's harmony. So let's talk about how to spot these in a picture book, and let's make it as easy as it possibly can be. First thing, look at your page. Did something jump out right away? That's going to help you understand contrast. Next, did your eyes float from one spot to another? That's gradation. After that, is something repeating but with variation? That's alternation. And does everything feel like it just fits together? That's going to be harmony. And you can try this with literally any picture book. Just pause before you read the words and look. Your eyes already know what's happening. You just need to ask yourself, why? So if you want to get better at spotting these tricks, here's what you do. Pick a picture book. Any picture book will do, but preferably one you love. And before you read, take in the full spread. No words, just visuals. Ask, what do I notice first? Is anything repeated? Do the colors or shapes change suddenly or gradually? And does the page feel like one whole idea or a bunch of parts? You're not looking for right answers. You're looking to practice. You want to practice how to see because you're so good at it. You've been doing it for so long that sometimes it's tricky to explain that to a young kid who doesn't know. Because once you start seeing these things and knowing how to name them, you'll never explain them to a child the same way again. And that's a wrap. So now we've got contrast, gradation, alternation, and harmony in your visual toolbox. You know what to do, you know how to spot them, and you've seen them in action. So before you go, drop a comment. What's a picture book that made you stop and stare because of how it looked? And have you ever noticed a book that felt bold or smooth or weirdly perfect, but you didn't quite know why? Let's talk about it. I'll see you in the next one.